J. Cole's The Fall Off is packed with grown man sermons, but if you really listen to Poor Thang and What If, you'll hear two completely different versions of Cole fighting for control. On What If, he
understand the power in love, the choice to be the bigger man. I want to say from the heart, I apologize. What if?
He's the wise elder, preaching peace, regret, and the dangers of pride, using Biggie and Pac as avatars to justify his own apology era. But on Poor Thang, he's back in the trenches, calling out local rappers, flexing his pain, and demanding fades like he's still got something to prove.
Just switch in the back of my mind, I gotta be something, bitch. That's when I started rhyming and make the beat something, bitch.
Who you talking about?
First of all, I'm happy that J. Cole's here after the damage that Diggy Simmons did.
There you go.
You know,
and only provoking and hopes to go #1 again. Hoping some rapper disses me just to make the fun again. It's no fair. Pac had Mobb Deep and Biggie, and all I get left with is Tyrese and Diggy.
Your letter helped me understand the power in love, the choice to be the bigger man. I want to say from the heart, I apologize. What if?
Image is fake. Yeah.
Way before you was lying about touching keys, some bitch. Heard you say I ain't real, that's your belief, huh?
So which Cole is real, the peacemaker or the street preacher? Is he the bigger man or just picking his battles carefully? Today, I'm breaking it down line by line, layer by layer, to show you exactly where Cole's message gets lost in the contradictions. If you thought this album was all wisdom and maturity, you might want to listen a little closer. Let's get into it. Poor Thang, the complete psychological autopsy of J. Cole's selective courage. The opening gambit, pity as strategic cover. When J. Cole opens Poor Thang with those mournful words, he's not just setting a tone, he's constructing an entire moral architecture designed to absolve him before he even commits the crime. The phrase, Poor Thang, is meant to sound like mature reflection, like a wise elder looking back on cycles of violence with sadness rather than judgment. But let's dissect what's actually happening psychologically. Cole is preloading your emotional response, wrapping himself in the language of compassion and understanding so that when he goes absolutely scorched earth on a local rapper,
it's soul for that Rockefeller chain. It's a cold world, no blanket, sheets over body. Mama screams sad songs and we call them homies. Now see what happened, you signed to Illuminati. Mr. Nice Watch, time's up, sacrifice somebody.
Verse 2, you'll have already accepted his framing that this is somehow different, somehow justified, somehow the exception that proves the rule of his supposed moral evolution. Notice the strategic precision of who gets the Poor Thang treatment and who doesn't. He never, not once, extends this blanket of pity to Kendrick Lamar. He never sighs mournfully about poor Drake caught up in cycles he can't escape. That compassionate framing is exclusively reserved for people who operate below his power level, who can't actually threaten his position in the hierarchy. It's the kind of pity that costs him nothing because it's directed at people who can't leverage it against him. The young kid who got killed in the streets? Poor Thang. The local rapper who dissed him? About to catch these hands. Kendrick, who actually challenged his status? Well, that required a completely different playbook, didn't it? The opening line, young pups playing war games / he wanted love, but he only made more pain, sounds like wisdom until you realize Cole is describing himself. He's the one playing war games, just with carefully selected opponents. He's the one who wanted love, that universal respect as part of the big three, that acknowledgement as Kendrick's peer. But his choices only created more pain, more mockery, more questions about his authenticity. The young pup framing is particularly insidious because it allows Cole to position himself as the elder statesman, the mature voice, when in reality, he's still operating from the same ego-driven, status-protecting, carefully calculated place he's always been. He's not above the game, he's just better at choosing which games to play. Verse 1, the sermon from a compromised pulpit. When Cole raps, "Picture my soul climbing out of infinite holes," he's asking you to imagine him as someone who's been through the fire and emerged purified, someone whose struggles have granted him perspective and wisdom that others lack. The imagery is evocative, infinite holes suggesting endless trials, endless darkness, endless opportunities for failure. He wants you to hear this and think, this man has earned the right to speak on these matters through lived experience. But let's be forensically honest about what those holes actually represent. Most of them are self-dug. The hole of apologizing to Kendrick and getting memed into oblivion? Self-dug. The whole of spending years sneak dissing and building competitive tension, only to retreat when real smoke arrived? Self-dug. The whole of trying to position himself as both the conscious rapper above beef and the street credible spitter who's still about that life.
But I know you for real. Like, you're not really how you trying to portray yourself.
That entirely self-dug. This isn't a recovery arc where a fallen hero climbs back to redemption through genuine growth and transformation. This is a rerun where someone who made a calculated decision that backfired, PR-wise, is now trying to reclaim credibility through the safest possible avenue, attacking someone who can't actually hurt him back in any meaningful way. It's not growth, it's image rehabilitation through strategic violence against a target carefully selected for maximum symbolic value and minimum actual risk. He's not proving he's battle-tested. He's proving he understands power dynamics well enough to only test battles he knows he'll win. The bar, "lives expire when niggas' pride gets higher than the vocal range inside," is genuinely clever wordplay, the kind of technical skill that reminds you Cole can actually rap when he wants to. The image of pride rising higher than vocal range creates this visceral picture of ego literally strangling someone, cutting off their air supply, their ability to make sound, their life force itself. It's a powerful metaphor for how unchecked pride leads to death, particularly in street contexts where disrespect can't go unanswered without fatal consequences. But here's where the psychological contradiction becomes so glaring, it's almost painful. This is the thesis of his own hypocrisy, served up with perfect technical execution, but zero self-awareness.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Hey, I wanna hear that one again, bro. Just so I could I don't need to hear it. I need to read the lyrics more to see what he's saying and to see if I can figure out who, or it's probably someone personal.
I think, yeah, that's what I was about to say. In terms of like who he was going at, I think it's like a personal thing. Like, I don't even know if it's somebody that we know. Like, even if we were to get a name, if we would, you know what I mean? It's definitely someone from where he's from. Someone local.
Cole is preaching, don't let pride get you killed, as if it's a universal moral principle. But what he actually practices is, don't let pride get you killed by someone who can actually kill your career. His pride wasn't too high for Kendrick. It was precisely calibrated to the level of threat Kendrick represented. When Kendrick responded to 7-Minute Drill with the promise of real smoke, Cole's pride mysteriously became flexible, mature, evolved enough to issue a public apology and strategic retreat. But when a local rapper from Fayetteville says something sideways, suddenly pride is non-negotiable again. Suddenly, it's time to defend his name, demand fades, go full aggressive mode. The principle isn't pride gets you killed. The principle is manage your pride based on who you're dealing with, and never let anyone think you're soft unless they're powerful enough that pretending to be mature is actually the safer play. When he talks about post-traumatic stress on an immature brain / leaves another corpse young pup playing war games, he's attempting to do something psychologically sophisticated, explaining violence as a product of trauma rather than moral failing, showing compassion for the structural forces that push young people toward destructive choices, and in isolation, that's actually a valuable perspective. Trauma does rewire developing brains. PTSD does make people hypervigilant, quick to aggression, unable to distinguish real threats from perceived ones. Young people in violent environments absolutely do play war games with real consequences because they've been conditioned to see the world as a battlefield where weakness equals death. But here's what makes Cole's deployment of this framework so deeply cynical. He's using trauma as authenticity currency for himself while condemning others for the same behavior. When Cole talks about his own struggles, his own pain, his own journey through difficult circumstances, it's meant to give him credibility, to prove he's really from the streets, really understands the life, really earned his perspective. His trauma makes him authentic. Their trauma makes them immature. His response to disrespect and threat is justified by his background. Their response to disrespect and threat is just sad evidence of stunted development. You see the game? When Cole crashes out on a local rapper, threatening violence and demanding confrontation, it's presented as righteous indignation, as necessary defense of his name and legacy, as proof he's still that guy from Fayetteville who won't be disrespected. But when young people from similar or worse circumstances respond to disrespect with violence, suddenly it's PTSD and immaturity. Suddenly it's war games that need to end. Suddenly it's a cycle that wise elders like Cole can see needs to be broken. The contradiction isn't accidental, it's the entire point. Cole has constructed a moral framework where his violence is always justified by context, while others' violence is always a failure of maturity. That's not wisdom, that's narcissism disguised as social commentary. The Bridge, outsourcing aggression while claiming peace. The Boosie sample that drops in, "You wanna talk shit, you want some gangsters front your motherfucking house," is doing very specific psychological work that reveals everything about Cole's approach to maintaining contradictory images simultaneously. On the surface level, it's just a hard sample that sets an aggressive tone, the kind of sonic choice that signals this isn't going to be a peaceful, contemplative track. But its actual function is far more calculated. Cole is literally having someone else voice the explicit violent threat so he can maintain plausible deniability about his supposed peace stance. Think about the mechanics of what's happening here. Cole can't directly threaten to show up at someone's house with gangsters without completely obliterating the carefully cultivated image of the mature, evolved rapper who chose peace over pride on What If. That would make the contradiction too obvious, too undeniable, too impossible to explain away. So instead, he samples someone else saying it, lets Boosie's voice carry the explicit threat, and maintains just enough distance to claim he's not actually making the threat himself. He's just using it as artistic texture, just evoking a mood, just sampling the culture. It's threat by proxy, violence through quotation, aggression with built-in deniability. This is the same psychological mechanism that allows people to say, "I'm just asking questions," when they're actually making accusations, or "I'm just being honest," when they're actually being cruel. You get to deploy the weapon while pretending your hands are clean. You get to communicate the threat while maintaining you never actually made one. You can't sample explicit violent threats and still claim to be above the fray, Cole. That's like hiring a hitman and then insisting, "I never touched him."
First of all, I'm happy that J. Cole's here after the damage that Diggy Simmons did to his career.
There you go. I survived the Diggy storm.
J. Cole killed Diggy Simmons. He put something on you, man.
Yeah.
You never wanted to respond to that. What happened?
Why would I respond to that?
Diggy?
Exactly. You see how you just said it?
J. Cole killer? What?
You see how you just said it?
Chapman always trying to cause problems.
Diggy?
He was like, not even sure about it.
You don't think Diggy was a formidable opponent?
Nah, it was just kind of just really embarrassing. You know what I mean? Like, nobody really wanted to talk. It was like, oh man, like
that's a lose-lose situation because
Exactly.
you can't really respond, and then if you don't respond, people think, why isn't he responding? But then if you do, it's like, why would he respond?
Yeah, it's exactly. I'm joking, only provoking, in hopes to go #1 again. Hoping some rapper disses me just to make the fun again. It's no fair. Pac had Mob Deep and Biggie, and all I get left with is Tyrese and Diggy.
That's like hiring a hitman and then insisting, "I never touched him, so I'm not responsible." The delegation of violence doesn't absolve you of the violence. If anything, it makes it more cowardly because you won't even own it directly. And this reveals something crucial about Cole's entire operational psychology. He's constantly trying to have it both ways, to occupy contradictory positions simultaneously by using proxies and strategic framing. He wants to be seen as the peace advocate without actually practicing peace. He wants to be seen as the mature one without actually demonstrating maturity in his choices. He wants to be seen as above beef while actively participating in beef, just with carefully selected targets and plausible deniability built into every move. The Boosie sample is a perfect microcosm of this larger pattern. Let someone else say the violent part so I can pretend I'm still the conscious rapper while benefiting from the street credibility that violence provides. Verse 2, where the mask doesn't just slip, it explodes. Every single punk bitch bar, every fade request, every aggressive threat in this verse represents J. Cole going full scorched earth on a rapper who has maybe 1,000th of his platform, influence, and resources. And we need to be absolutely crystal clear about the power dynamic at play here, because it reveals everything about who Cole actually is versus who he pretends to be. This is a 41-year-old multi-millionaire with over 10 million monthly Spotify listeners, with platinum plaques, with Grammy nominations, with a major label deal, with global tours, with his face on billboards, calling out someone who probably works a day job between releasing music, who might have a few thousand followers if he's lucky, who operates in a completely different stratosphere of the industry. This is LeBron James challenging a high school point guard to one-on-one and then bragging about the victory. This is Mike Tyson in his prime asking to fight a Golden Gloves amateur and then talking about how he proved he still got it. This is a heavyweight champion demanding a match with a regional fighter who competes at events held in VFW halls and then claiming this demonstrates his competitive fire is still intact. Yes, you'll win, Cole. Congratulations. That's not the flex you think it is. That's not proving you're still about that life or still connected to the streets or still willing to defend your name against all challengers. That's proving you understand exactly how to pick battles where victory is guaranteed and consequences are minimal. The fade talk is especially revealing when you map it against Cole's actual behavior pattern with peers at his level. He thinks he's proving he's really from the streets, still about that life, still willing to get physical if necessary, still that guy from Fayetteville who won't back down. What it actually proves is that he'll risk physical confrontation with a nobody who can't hurt his career, his earning potential, his legacy, or his standing in the culture. But when Kendrick Lamar, an actual peer, an actual threat, someone who could genuinely damage his reputation, applied pressure, Cole folded within weeks. Not months, not after careful consideration, weeks. You wanted smoke with Kendrick until Kendrick pulled out the flamethrower and you realized your water gun wasn't going to cut it. You wanted to be part of that Big Three conversation, wanted to throw subliminals, wanted to benefit from the competitive energy and the fan speculation and the who's really number one debates. But when actual smoke arrived, when Kendrick made it clear he was ready to do to you what he did to Drake.
If I smoke a rapper, it's gon' be legit.
What do you mean by that?
Won't be for clout, it won't be for fame, it won't be cause my shit ain't selling the same.
Okay.
Won't be to sell you my latest little sneakers, it won't be cause some niggas slid in my lane.
Okay.
Everything grows, it's destined to change. I love you little niggas, I'm glad that you came.
Alright, I'ma fuck with you.
Alright, bro.
I hope that you scrape every dollar you gain. I hope you know money won't erase the pain.
Okay, bye.
Easy! Bitch, shut the f*** up.
These niggas talking out of their necks. Put no coffin out.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
The king is back! Oh shit! He's rapping!
Out of your mouth. I'm way too paranoid for a threat. Hey, let's get it, bro.
Whoa, who threatened Kendrick? Who threatened Kendrick?
Ooh, don't pull them coughing out your mouth.
I'm way too paranoid for a thread. It's so fucking crazy.
That means if you threaten me, it's a rap. Te jodiste. That's Spanish for you yourself.
I'm gonna get at you first.
I'll end your life just for the threat, just so I don't have to deal with whatever might be coming in the future.
DOT, the money, power, respect. The last one is better.
I'm gonna get at you first.
I hold them sentiments symbolic. Oh, my temperament bipolar. I choose violence.
He said, my temperament is bipolar. I choose violence. And on the last album, he was talking about, he didn't say he chooses peace, but he's talking about therapy and blah, blah. So he goes, my temperament is bipolar. I could switch it up. Like, now I'm choosing violence. Like,
I said I'm way too paranoid for
the threat, bro. I hope he said I hope the sentiments are symbolic. Like, you don't really feel the like. Hold on,
you don't really feel what you're saying.
Get it up. It's time for him to prove that he's a problem.
It's time for him to prove that he's a problem.
Cole caused some strays.
J. Cole been begging for smoke. J. Cole, you did 2 tracks. I didn't hear the part 2 yet, but basically I feel like you was putting out smoke signals, and he answered it. It's time for you to prove that you're a problem. Round 1 is on you.
If I smoke a rapper, it's gon' be legit.
It's clicking up, but it not be legit. No 40 water. Tell him. Yeah.
No!
They click it up, bro.
Who click it up? Kitty?
Yeah. Kendrick, I see that. I see what y'all doing over there.
He talking about them. Yo, he gotta be. Who else?
Yeah, get up with me. Fuck sneak dissing. First person shooter. I hope they came with 3 switches. I crash out like.
Oh my god.
Sneak dissing. He said it. Yo, sneak dissing. I'ma tell y'all straight up. I got a problem with you and you. First person shooter. Who had that? I only know 2 That made a song called First Person Shooter.
And they was playing chess, wasn't they?
Clicking up.
Oh, that was the collab song. Oh yeah, it's confirmed. That's confirmed.
The location, I still got PTSD. Motherfuck the big three. Nigga, it's just big me. Nigga,
seriously, Kendrick?
Why he say that? J. Cole said pretty much, who's the best three right now? Is it K-Dot, Aubrey, or me? Big three like we started the league, right? Okay, here comes Kendrick. I excluded everybody.
For all your dogs getting buried, that's a K with all these nines. You gon' see Pet Cemetery, nigga.
What? Come on.
You ain't catch that?
Kendrick, that's a K-Dot, that's a K with all these nines. K.
You like that? Niggas from the bottom really like that. Stepping in Mississippi like
Kendrick is the clear, like, he damn near the little big brother. He like the little big brother, bro. I swear Kendrick's the boogeyman. That appearing
when the cost of continuing became potentially career damaging rather than career enhancing, suddenly you discovered your inner pacifist. Suddenly you remembered all those lessons about pride and ego. Suddenly you became the mature one who sees that beef is pointless and destructive. But now, safely away from anyone who can actually hurt you, you want smoke with Space, a regional rapper who can't hurt your Grammy chances, can't impact your streaming numbers, can't damage your legacy, can't even get a response from you that would elevate their profile meaningfully. That's not inspirational. That's sad. That's the behavior of someone so desperate to reclaim some sense of masculine credibility after the very public embarrassment of backing down that he's willing to go nuclear on the weakest possible target just to feel powerful again. The psychology here is textbook compensation. When people feel emasculated or diminished in one arena, they often overcorrect by being hyper-aggressive in another arena where they feel safer. Cole felt emasculated by having to apologize to Kendrick, by the memes, by the jokes, by being relegated to perpetual third place, by the culture laughing at his retreat. So now, he's overcompensating by being maximally aggressive.
Me that kid that used to rock the low cut. Made the song I'm about to blow up. Did the show when nobody showed up. Used to call me when he got in beef and shit. Now he on these songs talking like he beats this shit.
Hold up, bitch. Heard you say I ain't real, that's your belief, huh, bitch? Well, look, I'm back in the Ville so we can see, punk, bitch.
Who can't make him feel that way again. It's not about the local rapper at all. It's about Cole trying to convince himself and others that he's still tough, still relevant, still dangerous. But the target selection gives the game away. If you were really about that life, you'd be directing this energy at people on your level. The fact that you're not reveals this is all performance, all image rehabilitation, all psychological compensation for wounds to your ego that you're too proud to actually address directly. Chorus reprise, the mirror Cole refuses to look into. When the chorus comes back around with, he wanted love but he only made more pain, we need to stop pretending this is just about some abstract young person caught in cycles of violence. Apply this line directly to J. Cole himself and watch how perfectly it fits. He wanted love from the culture, that universal respect as part of the big three, that acknowledgement as Kendrick's artistic peer, that recognition as not just a good rapper but a great one of the defining voices of his generation. He wanted to be mentioned in the same breath as Kendrick Lamar without the qualifier, without the, yeah, but Kendrick is on another level, caveat that always follows. But his choices didn't create love, they created pain, for him primarily. The pain of being memed mercilessly for the apology. The pain of watching Kendrick and Drake's beef dominate the culture while he sat on the sidelines. The pain of knowing that his strategic retreat, while probably smart from a career preservation standpoint, would always be read by a significant portion of the culture as cowardice. The pain of being the butt of jokes, the subject of think pieces about what his backing down means for hip-hop's competitive spirit. The example people point to when they want to talk about the difference between someone who talks tough and someone who actually is tough. You're literally describing yourself, my guy. Every word of this chorus is a self-portrait you don't even realize you're painting. The young pup playing war games? That's you. Still playing competitive games with hip-hop, but only when the stakes are low enough that losing won't really hurt. The person who wanted love but made more pain? That's you. Trying to be loved as both the conscious, mature elder and the still street credible spitter, and instead creating more confusion and contradiction and criticism. The cycle of violence you claim to want to break? You're perpetuating it, just downward rather than upward in the hierarchy, punching down on people who can't punch back effectively. And here's what makes it even more psychologically revealing. Cole likely doesn't see this self-description at all. He genuinely believes this song is about other people, about the youth, about cycles in the streets, about wisdom he's sharing from a position of having transcended these patterns. The complete lack of self-awareness, the total inability to see himself in the very behaviors he's critiquing, is almost clinical in its precision. This is what psychologists call projection in its purest form, taking your own unacknowledged traits and attributing them to others, condemning in them what you refuse to recognize in yourself. The outro, disconnected from his own message. The voicemail at the end, that no connection message, wants to be cinematic storytelling, wants to create unresolved tension, wants to suggest something ominous or meaningful about communication breakdown and distance. Cole probably thinks it's a sophisticated artistic choice that adds narrative depth. What it actually represents, what it symbolically embodies, whether Cole intended it or not, is that he can't even connect with his own message.
Feelings, not knowing most drama only leads to more killings. If I hurt you, I apologize. What if?
It calls to himself, be the bigger person, stop the cycle, rise above ego-driven conflict, keep going straight to voicemail. The person he can't reach isn't the local op who talks sideways about him. The person he can't reach is the version of himself that actually believed the what if sermon. The version that wrote those lies about Big and Pac dying because pride got too high. The version that preached about breaking cycles of violence and choosing love over legend. That version of J. Cole is unavailable right now. Maybe he never existed at all. Maybe he was always just a character Cole played when it was strategically useful. A persona he could put on for the right song at the right time, but never an actual set of principles he lived by. The voicemail represents disconnection at the deepest level. Disconnection between what Cole says and what Cole does. Between the values he espouses and the behavior he demonstrates. Between the wisdom he claims and the choices he makes. And the tragedy, the real poor thing of this entire situation, is that Cole doesn't seem to hear it. He's so disconnected from his own contradictions that he can create an entire song.
Jump, I spit phrases that'll thrill you. You're nobody to somebody that know the real you. Remember light-skinned Jermaine swore he knew the game. Got a record deal and he took it to the brain.
Create an entire song where the central metaphor perfectly describes his own failure while thinking it's about someone else entirely. What If versus Poor Thang, the receipts laid out in surgical detail. Let's lay out the contradiction with such clarity that there's no possible way to miss it, no room for interpretation, no space for defenders to claim we're misreading or being unfair. In What If, J. Cole explicitly says that beef is childish, that pride gets people killed, that the wise move is to choose peace over ego, that if only Big and Pac had communicated and apologized and pulled back, they'd still be alive. He positions himself as someone who learned from their tragedy, who sees the pattern, who's evolved beyond the need to prove himself through conflict. He raps about lives expiring when pride gets too high. He talks about the power of love and being the bigger man. He creates an entire alternate timeline where apology and de-escalation save hip-hop's greatest tragedy. Then, in Poor Thang, not even on a different album, but on the same project, he says, "Meet me for the fade, punk bitch." He demands physical confrontation. He samples explicit violent threats. He goes scorched earth on someone for the crime of disrespecting his name. Every single lesson from What If is not just abandoned, but actively contradicted. Pride isn't too high anymore. It's non-negotiable. Being the bigger man isn't the goal. Asserting dominance is. Breaking cycles of violence isn't the wisdom. Perpetuating them against weaker targets is the move. But here's the crucial detail that makes this not just contradiction, but calculated, selective morality. The lesson from What If only applies to other people, specifically to people who could actually hurt J. Cole. He stepped back from Kendrick Lamar, but stepped up to a local nobody. He preaches breaking cycles of violence while sampling Boosie threatening violence. He claims maturity means walking away, but his actions reveal that maturity actually means picking battles you can win while framing retreat from battles you might lose as enlightened choice rather than strategic necessity. This isn't accidental contradiction. This isn't Cole being hypocritical without realizing it. This is deliberate, selective application of principles based on threat assessment. When there's high risk, Kendrick, Drake, anyone who could genuinely damage his legacy, he deploys the peace framework, the maturity framework, the I'm too evolved for this framework. When there's low risk, local rappers, smaller artists, people who can't hurt him, he deploys the aggression framework, the street credibility framework, the I'm still that guy framework. Both frameworks exist simultaneously in his arsenal, ready to be deployed whenever strategically useful. The real psychological architecture, a complete breakdown. J. Cole's psychology isn't contradictory, it's actually ruthlessly consistent once you understand the underlying pattern. He's not confused about his values, he's not struggling with competing impulses. He's operating from a very clear, very calculated set of principles that govern when to apply which persona. Principle 1. Never engage in conflict where the risk exceeds the potential benefit. Kendrick Lamar represented massive risk, potential career damage, potential exposure of technical limitations, potential permanent relegation to second tier, with limited benefit since even winning wouldn't have changed the culture's fundamental assessment of the hierarchy. The smart play was retreat disguised as wisdom. Local rapper represents zero risk. No one will care if you demolish him. No one will fault you for it. You might even gain some street credibility, with potential benefit of reclaiming some masculine credibility after the emasculation of backing down from Kendrick. The smart play is aggression disguised as principle. Principle 2. Always have a moral framework available to justify whatever choice you're making. If you're backing down, frame it as maturity, wisdom, learning from Big and Pac, being the bigger man, choosing peace over pride. If you're being aggressive, frame it as defending your name, staying true to your roots, not letting people disrespect you, maintaining street credibility. The framework doesn't determine the choice. The choice determines which framework to deploy. This is motivated reasoning at its finest, deciding what you want to do first, then finding the philosophical justification afterward. Principle 3. Use proxies and strategic distance to maintain plausible deniability. Can't directly threaten someone's house after preaching peace? Sample Boosie saying it. Can't directly admit you backed down from Kendrick because you were outmatched? Frame it as evolved thinking and create an entire song about Big and Pac.
The power and love, the choice to be the bigger man. I want to say from the heart, I apologize. What if?
Can't directly say, I only fight people I know I can beat. Talk about breaking cycles and being mature, then demonstrate through action rather than admission what your actual principles are. The deniability is crucial because it allows you to occupy contradictory positions simultaneously. Principle 4. Project your own unacknowledged traits onto others and critique them there. You're the one playing selective war games? Talk about young pups playing war games. You're the one whose pride is calibrated to opponent strength? Preach about how pride gets too high. You're the one who wanted love but made more pain through strategic choices? Write a chorus about how others fall into that pattern. As long as you're critiquing these traits in others, you never have to acknowledge them in yourself. This isn't accidental behavior. This isn't Cole stumbling into contradictions without realizing it. This is a carefully constructed persona management system designed to allow him to benefit from multiple contradictory images: conscious and street, mature and aggressive, peaceful and violent, wise and petty, by strategically deploying each one when it serves his interests and maintaining just enough distance and deniability that the contradictions can be explained away. And the most revealing part? It almost works. If you only listen to What If, you think Cole was genuinely evolved, genuinely wise, genuinely learned from history. If you only listen to Poor Thang, you think Cole was genuinely street, genuinely willing to back up his words with action, genuinely about that life. It's only when you put them side by side, when you analyze the pattern of who gets which treatment, when you map his behavior against the actual threat level of his opponents, that the system reveals itself completely. What this actually reveals. He wants credit for rising above beef without actually rising above beef. He wants to be seen as the bigger man without demonstrating any of the actual qualities that would make someone the bigger man. He wants wisdom points for lessons he doesn't actually live by. He wants street credibility for violence he only deploys downward. He wants to have every advantage of every possible position without committing fully to any of them. The contradiction isn't a bug in his operating system. It is the entire operating system. Cole has built an entire brand, an entire career, an entire public persona on having it both ways. Conscious enough for the think pieces, street enough for the credibility, wise enough for the elder statesman role, aggressive enough to not seem soft, but never quite committed enough to any of these to actually live by the principles they imply. He's the rapper equivalent of a politician who talks progressive in blue districts and moderate in purple ones, adapting his message to his audience while never taking a stand firm enough that he might actually pay a cost for it. Poor Thang isn't about some young pup playing war games. It's about J. Cole revealing that he's still playing the same games, just with rule modifications that ensure he can't lose. It's about selective morality being deployed so transparently that anyone paying attention can see through it. It's about using the language of wisdom and growth to disguise choices that are actually just calculated self-preservation and image management. It's about a 39-year-old man trying to reclaim masculine credibility after a very public retreat by going nuclear on someone who can't possibly fight back effectively, then having the audacity to frame this as somehow different from all the ego-driven, pride-protecting, status-defending behavior he critiqued in others. The real Poor Thang in this entire equation is anyone who thought Cole's peace talk was genuine. Anyone who believed the What If sermon represented actual principles he lived by. Anyone who took seriously his claims about being evolved and mature. Because the receipts are right there in his own music. The contradictions are laid out in songs released on the same album. The selective application of supposedly universal wisdom is demonstrated through his own choices. You can't hide behind samples and strategic framing and plausible deniability when your own discography exposes the game. Final verdict: selective morality isn't wisdom, it's just cowardice with a marketing budget. Drop your thoughts in the comments because this demands conversation. Is Cole the wise elder who learned from hip-hop's tragedies? Or is he just the kid who learned to pick easier fights while pretending that's the same as growing up?